Well, here it is, a brand new 2021 BMW X3. This is essentially my dream car. And here it is, live in person. I can't believe still that I ended up with this. I am upgrading from a 2012 RAV4. Here's what it looks like. Very similar in color to my new car. That was not planned, that was kind of by accident and by default. And that was even a base model. So upgrading to this X3 is quite the change, that is for sure. And continuing on the color, like I looked into other colors, like maybe blue, but it was just too dark. I didn't really like it. And if you look at some other colors, like they're all dark. It's black and another shade of black and a dark gray, and it just didn't look right. And then the white ones, they're too bright. I didn't like it. So by default, I have to get with the silver. So no complaints, because I really like the silver color. I think it is pretty sharp. Added bonus for going with silver, or at least what definitely locked in my choice, was since I got the X line, you'll see this silver strip on the bottom there, as well as these silver strips up front. And there's also a silver diffuser on the back. No matter what color you get, those will always be silver, which I think looks a little ridiculous on any color beyond, well, silver that blends in. They just stand out way too much on this trim level. Yes, you can upgrade to the M Sport level and those pretty much go away, and maybe that's what they were hoping you do, is upgrade and get rid of the ugliness that these silver strips provide. But I didn't want to do that, and like I said, silver is just fine with me. It looks good. Now, I did custom order this from the factory, which was awesome, because then I ended up with exactly what I wanted and nothing I didn't. So if you're going to spend this kind of money on a car, like, I would expect to get exactly what I want. And even when I was in the dealership, I told them, I'm going to quote an unnamed competitor, I want the best or nothing. So of course the best to me is exactly what I want and nothing that I don't. So had to custom order it, and quite frankly, I wouldn't have had it any other way. And I'll get into that in a second. When I was up there, I ordered this in March, and this was before BMW had their chip shortage. They're, I think, still currently going through. They're one of the largest dealers in the country, and they had over 150 X3s on the lot. And a couple features they didn't even have any of them. For example, I have a trailer hitch on mine, which I think looks really sharp with it. If I come over here into the light better, I really like the look of this thing with a trailer hitch. Plus, it gives me peace of mind that somebody's, if someone rear ends me, they're going to get a fistful of steel versus my back bumper. So I definitely wanted the trailer hitch, but not one on their lot had a trailer hitch, which was backed up by the finance guy. When I went back with him, he said he must have done 1,000 X3s by this point, and not one person has ever ordered a trailer hitch. And I'm like, how can that be? That doesn't make any sense to me. I would think people would want a trailer hitch, especially people who like to bike or something. They want a bike rack. Like, that just seems like a standard thing. But ever since he said that, like, I noticed every single X3 that I've passed or looked at, I checked the back to see if there's a trailer hitch, and he's right. Almost none of them have it. And I must have seen probably 100 plus X3s by now looking, and only two have ever I've seen with a trailer hitch. So that's just crazy to me. If I step into the inside here, the trim line that I wanted was aluminum. Most people tend to get wood for some reason. I mean, that's, I guess, by default what people get. So this would be wood, that would be wood, and of course over here would be wood, and there might be some other places too. But I just think that looks a little way too artificial, so I definitely wanted the aluminum. And again, they didn't even have one X3 on the lot with this kind of aluminum. If you get the M Sport model, you can get like the perforated etched aluminum, which is like a darker color with like groovings in the middle, and they make slashes in both ways. So that's the one I kind of looked at on the lot, because that was the only one they had. Again, it's kind of crazy to me that they don't have, or they didn't have anything with aluminum. But I think it looks pretty sharp this way. You also notice I've done a lot of modding myself. So all these blue accents that you see colored are extra stuff that I added in later. And I'll do a whole separate video on that stuff too, if you're curious or want to see it. Or I guess I'll dive more into that detail later. All said and done, if I hop back outside because it's getting hot, I was able to snag this for 26% off MSRP, price to price, which is crazy. Did a lot of research beforehand to see what kind of deal I can expect on a custom order, and reading through all the forums and everything, it was like, well, if you get over 10% MSRP, that's probably a good deal. Like, that just seems like the standard. And on a custom order, I kind of saw, like, if you got 5% off MSRP, that was a good deal. Some people even posted that dealers weren't even able to compromise at all on a custom order. They had to pay MSRP. So the fact that I got 26% off was insane. Heck, I even got a negative interest rate out of the deal, or at least an effective negative interest rate. Since BMW at the time had a manufacturer discount of $2,500 if you finance anything. But the way I structured the deal, I was only going to pay $1,200 over the course of the loan. So they paid me to finance. Therefore, I got a negative interest rate. Now, I technically wasn't planning on buying a new car. My time horizon for my RAV4 was keep it 10 to 12 years, which put me another 2 or 3 years out. But I thought, hey, with COVID going on, and again, this was before the chip shortage really took hold, I'm like, hey, maybe I could find a deal. Maybe dealers are willing to negotiate some. And by God, I was able to find one that did. I had a great purchasing experience. I mean, I've never had any pressure or anything at any time. And like I said, I was able to negotiate a great deal. So it all just worked out perfectly and came together so nicely. I'm really happy about how this worked out. And of course, since I custom ordered it, I was able to do what they call a factory delivery, which meant I went over to Spartanburg, South Carolina, where they make these, and pick it up there, directly from the factory like a boss. Which was so cool, because not only did I pick it up from the factory, but they put you up in a hotel for the night, they give you some food. Heck, I got a whole Cornish hen, which I was shocked. It was literally a whole hen. The next day, you start at the BMW Performance Center. You get to do spin outs, hard brake tests, a racetrack, you know, Top Gear style, run around salami, in and out of cones and stuff like that. In an X3, not the one you're buying, but you know, the ones they have there for you to test on. Then we got in a souped up 7 Series with an ex-NASCAR driver, and we were Tokyo drifting all over the place. They took us around a huge circuit, which was so fun because I've never done anything like that before. It was really cool to experience that. After all the performance stuff, we went over and did a factory tour, so you actually got to see where they make these, which, you know, was always neat to me. I love seeing how things are made, so that was really cool. And then afterwards, they did my delivery with a professional expert, so I was able to ask him all the questions I wanted to. He told me all about the car. Again, me, brand new to BMW, it was quite the change, and I needed to understand how this stuff works, because driving a BMW isn't as intuitive as, say, like a quote-unquote normal car like my RAV. There's some definitely extra bits to it. Definitely, like, the shifting is a little hard to get used to at first, of how to actually put this car in gear. Push button starts, I never had that before, you know, and how the engine cutoff thing works, and just all that little stuff that it just takes a little bit of getting used to. But right after I did that, I took this picture right in front of the factory and museum. It really was like the perfect day. I don't think I've done anything as neat as that. That was really, really awesome. If you are in the market for a new X vehicle from BMW, I highly suggest the Performance Center delivery. You will not be disappointed, because I had a blast and it was so much fun. This car just keeps growing on me, really. I mean, at first glance, you might see one driving down the street and you're like, oh, that's nice, and you don't really think too much of it. But the more you look at it, at least for me, the more you keep thinking, man, that is a really sharp looking car. Now, I've already had this a couple months. I kind of meant to do this right when I started, when I got it, to kind of like document my experience, if you will. Again, for anyone out there who's thinking about one or just wants to know what it's like to own one. But better late than never, I guess. And I guess I got a couple videos in mind of how to look at some of the mods I did and other experiences. So look for that soon on the channel. again, just doing this for fun. Thought it'd be neat to document my experience. If anything, just as like a time capsule for myself, so I can look back at this in, you know, 20, 30 years and say, hey, remember this? This was cool. What an experience. So with that said, I'll end it there. Let me know your thoughts below. If you have an X3 yourself, what do you think of it? Again, I'm brand new to this, so always would like to know what others have done and, you know, how they like it. So I'll end it there. Stay tuned for more.